a while. They will spend 2 weeks on the road. 6 games in Durham against the top team in the division, and then 6 more at Norfolk, who's second to worst. Throw to first, keeping an eye on Gore. The Redbirds haven't played the Durham Bulls since the first series of the season, when Durham won 5 of 6, and the traveling road show of Franco, Bruhan, and Walls wowed us here at AutoZone Park. Of course, Wander Franco's in the bigs now, but Bruhan is with Durham, Taylor Walls is with Durham, and Justin, I'm excited to watch those guys next week. Obviously, hope the Redbirds play well against Durham and beat them more than they lose to them, but really, the future of baseball is on the Durham Bulls right now, and with a 50-25 record, they've showed it all year. It's going to be fun to see the Birds compete against them. Gore's running. Sanchez throws to second. Not in time. That's what we worried about. Gore slides in, and any base.
All right, I'm local 24 meteorologist Trevor Birchett. We are going to interrupt programming now. We have a tornado warning that has been issued for Mississippi County and Arkansas right now. This includes the city of Blytheville. Let's go ahead and zoom on in here. We've been watching this storm here for the last couple of minutes because it's been showing some signs of some pretty intense lightning, heavy rain, gusty winds, and now it looks like we could be in the middle of a tornado situation here. Now, the storm right now is in the southern portion of the Missouri Boot Heel, so it's technically just outside of our coverage area, but it's going to be moving down to the south at about 35 miles an hour, and that's going to have it clip the northeastern corner of Mississippi County and possibly pretty close to the city of Blytheville. Let's get a storm track on this. Well, that's the first thing we want to do because as this thing moves to the south and east, we need these folks in their tornado safe place. If you're in Gosnell, Blytheville, anywhere along 55 south of Cooter and Steele in the Boot Heel, down to about Blytheville, that is where this storm is headed, again to the southeast at about 35 miles an hour. So let's put a track on that and I'll give you an idea of what we're looking at in terms of the motion of this storm. So this will put it in Gosnell by about 9:34, Blytheville by 9:47. If it holds its intensity. Now, of course, we would like to hope that the storm is going to start to weaken here over the next little bit. But again, right now, tornado possibly producing right now in the southern portion of the Missouri Boot Heel. I know this is kind of hard to see because we're really zoomed in here, but that line right there, that is the border between Dunklin and Pemiscot counties in the Boot Heel and Mississippi County in Arkansas. And again, this storm here moving to the southeast at about 20 to 30 miles an hour. What I want to do now, I want to get kind of technical here, and I know a lot of people don't like it when we do this, but I just need to get a little bit of an idea of what the rotation is looking like. And I know this looks like a bucket of spilled paint on your screen right now, and I do apologize for that. But what we're looking at now, it's less of the rainfall and it's more of the wind speed. So where you see the brighter colors, that's the brighter wind, the stronger wind, I should say. And the different colors tell us what direction the storm is moving. So when you see those greens and reds close together, that is an area that could be producing a tornado. So you see a couple of little areas in here. And again, this is in the southern portion of Dunklin and Pemiscot counties. There are several areas in here north of Gosnell and then between about Steele and Cooter, right there along 55, that could be trying to spin up a tornado. And that's why we have this tornado warning. Again, this tornado warning goes until 9:30 tonight. This includes Mississippi County and Arkansas, not the state of Mississippi, but Mississippi County and Arkansas. And the southern portion of the Missouri Boot Heel until 9:30. Let's get that off your screen here and we'll switch over to our shear rate product. And what this does is kind of generalizes where the storm is showing the best signs of rotation. We've got several areas in here that again could be rotating. So we want to take this seriously. This is not really an environment that is conducive to produce a tornado, but there are several areas in here that could be trying to spin. And we want you to be safe rather than sorry, of course, in a situation like this. So if you're between Blytheville and Steele along 55 and a little closer to the Mississippi River, go to your tornado safe place right now. And again, if you forgot your tornado safe places, it's been a while since we've had to do this. We want you on the lowest floor of the building that you're currently in. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Blankets, pillows, helmets, anything you can get to cover up your head. and stay there until this storm passes. Again, this tornado warning in effect until 9:30 for the northern portion of Mississippi County, including the city of Blytheville. Everybody else is all clear right now. I know you're upset with me in Memphis and Shelby County and DeSoto for interrupting your programming. We were right at the end of that Redbirds game on CW30. I hate to do this. I'm really sorry. But again, possible tornado now crossing into the northern portion of Mississippi County, Arkansas. Right now, that's our only concern. This storm could likely produce some gusty winds and heavy rain. But as of right now, we want to focus on the possible tornado that is forming right now in the southern portion of the Missouri boot heel. Another thing we can do here, let's click this storm track. And what I want you to see down there, you see that BTI number? That's our Barron Tornado Index, a scale of 1 to 10 of the likelihood that this is a tornado on the ground. And that is a 6.8. That is a substantially high number for a storm like this, especially this time of year. It's July, almost August. We typically don't see storms like this. I apologize, guys. My computer's just off the screen here, so I'm going to have to step off and step on just to see what the National Weather Service is saying. But that's 6.8. That is a little concerning, to be honest with you. And again, we had several areas of rotation in the southern portion of Dunklin and Pemiscot counties. But that 6.8 shows us that something could actually be on the ground here, and that's something that we want to take seriously. Good news right now, we're looking at our debris mode, and again, I'm sorry folks, I know this looks like a bucket of spilled paint. I'm going to try to explain it to you the best I can. This would show us if there's any debris being picked up by the tornadoes. When we have a tornado, it hits things, it picks up roofs and shingles and things. We can see that on radar. Right now, we do not see any debris. That is a great sign. That means as of right now, there's likely not a tornado on the ground. But it's so close that I want you to take this seriously regardless. Again, this is moving to the south-southeast at about 20 to 30 miles an hour. And there's so many different areas of rotation here. We'll switch to our velocity mode once again, and I'll try to get this storm track off here just so you can get a better idea. Even if there's not a tornado in this thing, folks, there is a lot of gusty wind. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect for Mississippi County as well as Lauderdale County in Tennessee. Because even if this storm is not producing a tornado, it is still producing some very, very strong winds. But right there in Gosnell, that is about where this thing is going to be. And it's so hard to pinpoint exactly, what area could be rotating, because to be honest with you, it looks like the entire storm could be showing signs of rotation. That little area over Gosnell, that is a question mark for me. That's something could be trying to spin up right there. Again, that's right over Gosnell. That's moving to the southeast. So Blytheville, we've got to have you in your tornado safe place right now. But there's also several other areas of rotation. We're passing into Missouri now. Hermondale, State Highway M, State Highway O, County Road 2, right along the county line and the state line. Another little area of rotation there, just to the east of Temple's Corner. And again, both of these areas moving off to the southeast. And so what I'm actually going to do here, I'm going to kind of storm track the entire storm, because there's so many little areas that could be trying to spin something up. It's hard to pinpoint and say exactly which one could be the one that is the most significant. So we're just going to track this down to the southeast about 23, 24 miles an hour. That's going to put it into Blytheville by about 9:22. And if you'll excuse me just a second, what I'll do, I'll step off. And I'll give you a little bit of a better idea of some of the cities that are in here. We can turn on some more cities and show you a little better idea of some of the smaller communities, because we don't want to forget about you. And there we go. So there's some of our smaller communities that might help you out. There's a lot of cities around Blytheville in northern Mississippi County. We do not want to forget about you. So that's the latest. That is the latest track on this storm. Again, Blytheville by 9:22, Dogwood 9:26, Burton by 9:30, Promised Land 9:33, and then eventually getting pretty close to crossing the Mississippi River by about 9:34, 9:35. Now, as of right now, there's no tornado warning for Lauderdale County or for Dyer County or for Tipton County, but this storm has a history of trying to spin stuff up, and so it's something we're going to have to watch very, very carefully. I'll switch back to the radar mode. Again, folks, I know that kind of looks confusing there, but there's the latest frame. You see the rain is a little bit further back, still in southern Missouri, just getting ready to cross into Mississippi County, Arkansas. One little bit of good news for you, the National Weather Service saying it looks like that circulation might be weakening just a little bit, which is, you kind of got that idea from me. I was trying to explain to you, there's so many little different areas that could be trying to spin in this storm. And that's typically not what storms want. Storms want one area that it can focus on to strengthen. And when you see those little questionable areas, several of them, it's not very good. It's not a good sign that the thing is trying to produce a tornado. That's great news for us because it shows that there's probably not a tornado right now, but bad news for the storm. Again, if you're just joining us, I'm meteorologist Trevor Birchett with Local 24 News. We have a tornado warning in effect for the northern portion of Mississippi County, including the city of Blytheville, until 9:30. And we are going to stay with you then until the tornado warning is allowed to expire. As far as your ABC programming goes, you can watch that anytime, free of charge, abc.com. Unfortunately, we have to go on air in a situation like this when we've got a potential tornado. Lots of lightning with this. Look at that north of Hornersville in southern Dunklin and Pemiscot counties. 130 strikes. That's in the last 30 minutes. And that's a sign that this storm is pretty strong. And we'll zoom out for you just a little bit. I know it might be a little dizzying to be that close up. Here's a better view of what we're looking at here. And that is just a monster thunderstorm right now in the southern portion of the Missouri Boot Heel. I mean, it stretches from Kennett to Caruthersville, and it's moving to the south and east. And there's that little area there on the southern part of the storm that we could be concerned about for a tornado. Right now, it does not look like there is a tornado on the ground, which is fantastic news, but it's close enough that the National Weather Service has gone ahead and put a tornado warning on it. You see that little appendage there? I know that's kind of hard to see, but there's several little areas where there's little notches in the storm, and that's another thing that we look at that could be indicative of a tornado. So there's several areas in this storm that are trying to rotate, that are trying to produce some kind of rotation, some sort of tornado. Luckily, right now, we have no confirmed reports of a tornado on the ground, but it's close enough that I want you in your tornado safe place. If you're in Gosnell, Blytheville, northern portion of Mississippi County, that's fairly rural once you go east of 55 between the river. But if you live between Blytheville and the river, east of 55, go ahead and get in your tornado safe place. If you're in a mobile home, gotta find somewhere else to be. McDonald's, gas station, anything you can get inside to at this time of night, just ride the storm out there just to be on the safe side. A mobile home is not gonna do it. A car is not gonna do it. We don't want you driving around on the road right now with this tornado warning. Let's go back to our velocity mode. This might give us a little better idea. And what we're looking at here, it looks like there's this leading edge of wind coming through Blytheville right now. So if you're in Blytheville, you're probably getting some wind. That's not the actual storm. That's some wind coming out of the storm. There's still a little questionable area north of Gosnell that you see those reds and the greens together. And again, if you're just joining us, what that means is the greens are going toward the radar side in Memphis. The reds are going away. So when you see those really close together like that, that's how we tell if something could be rotating in the storm. So that is a questionable area, still a very dirty looking storm. And when I say dirty, I mean not strong, not organized, which is good news for us because that means there's likely not a tornado right now. But between Midway, Calumet, Gosnell, north of Lake Road, Phil Road, and then again, there's that county line right there behind the tidal bar. That is a little area we could be watching, but really this storm, at this moment, in terms of tornadic potential, in terms of it producing a tornado, it just doesn't look that impressive to me. And the National Weather Service agreeing that this thing is really weakening, and if it were to produce a tornado, it would be fairly weak. I'm not telling you that to tell you to not go to your safe place. I want you to be safe rather than sorry, but right now it does not look like this storm has a tornado on the ground. Still getting some new information from the National Weather Service. It looks like the circulation continues to weaken, but could intensify to the east. So this is a whole line of storms we're going to have to watch over the next little bit. And I want to tell you too, a lot of folks want to focus on the tornado warning. We just had a wind gust of nearly 50 miles an hour in Union City. So as this whole line of storms comes through over the next hour or two, it's going to produce some very gusty winds, even if there's not a tornado in there. So you see very, very heavy rain, very heavy wind. I'm going to put a storm track on the entire storm and just give you an idea of the entire storm. This is not just the tornado warned area, but this is tracking the entire storm down to the south and east. Again, Blytheville by about 9:45 could be into Dyersburg by about the same time. But again, if you're just joining us, we're on the air with you tonight because we have a tornado warning for the northern portion of Mississippi County and Arkansas. No concerns with severe weather anywhere else. It's just this one storm we're watching. And I told you at 6 tonight, we could have some stronger storms, and it looks like that's coming to fruition. Didn't really expect a tornado warning tonight, but at least right now, It does not look like the storm is producing a tornado. That's fantastic news. But still very, very heavy rain, very strong wind, lots of lightning in that. 500 strikes of lightning within the last 30 minutes, and that's mainly near Kennett in the Missouri Boot Heel. And again, that's all moving off to the southeast at about 20 to 30 miles an hour. We'll clear that storm track off of there. And let's just zoom on back into the tornado warned area, because that's the area obviously that we're on the air for. That's the area that we want to focus in on. Because, I mean, like I said, it just doesn't look that impressive, at least anymore. A moment ago, I told you we had the BTI of 6.8. It's still pretty high, but I'm just personally not seeing anything that is alarming me in this storm. And again, it's moving to the southeast at about 25, 30 miles an hour, somewhere in that neighborhood. And it's going to come pretty close to Blytheville and the northern corner of Mississippi County. Right now, no confirmed reports of damage, anything like that. And it looks like they are going to let this tornado warning go at 9:30. So we're going to be with you for 6 more minutes. Folks in master control and back in the control room will be good to start the news right at 9:30. And then we'll send ABC back at 9:30 as well. But if you want to get the latest on this storm, you can stay with us on CW30, and we will have the news beginning at 9:30 there. And I'll give you an update on the storm then. And of course, we'll be back for Local 24 News at 10. But we're going to be with you for at least the next 5 minutes as long as we have this tornado warning in effect. And again, the reason they issued this was because about 10 minutes ago, 9:12, 9:13, it really looked like this storm could be trying to spin up a brief tornado. They're very rare this time of year. I know a lot of you are probably saying this is not tornado season. Why is he on my TV talking? I know it's very rare. But this storm really looked like it was trying to do something, and I applaud the Weather Service. They put out that warning just right in the right spot. But right now it looks like the storm is trying to weaken just a little bit. I want to pull up that storm track again and keep an eye on this BTI, the Barron Tornado Index, on a scale of 1 to 10. The radar gives us a number of how likely it thinks a tornado is. Right now it's a 6.7. I think that's fairly high. I know when you get to like 6, 7, 8, that's kind of alarming. I think it might be overdoing it just a little bit. I'm just not seeing the signs of rotation. And I know there's somebody out there saying, well, if you're not seeing the signs of rotation, why are you still on TV? Well, it's just because our policy is, as long as there is a tornado warning in effect and as long as lives could be in danger, we're going to be on the air with you. ABC programming, you can get that for free online. And the Redbirds game had about 5 or 6 minutes left. Hopefully we can get you an update on that coming up on the news at 9:30. But again, very strong storm, regardless of if there's a tornado or not. This thing is producing very heavy rain, gusty winds, and a ton of lightning. 300 strikes in the last 30 minutes. And where you see those blinking strikes, those are strikes that have happened within the last 60 seconds. So a very, very strong storm as this thing continues to move off to the south and east. Do want to tell you, we are expecting a chance of storms through about midnight. And then it looks like these storms are really going to start to weaken. So this storm likely going to stay north of Memphis, but heads up Dyersburg, Ripley, Halls. Very heavy rain. Even if there's not a tornado, it's going to be a gully washer. It's going to be some gusty wind and lightning. But I'm hopeful that this thing will continue to weaken and we will not have to be back on air with you for a tornado warning anytime soon. But again, the reason we're with you right now is because there's a tornado warning for Mississippi County as well as the Missouri Boot Heel until 9:30 tonight. Before I let you go for sure, I want to zoom right back in here. And again, we're going to be with you until 9:30 regardless, but I want to double check with you and just kind of make sure there's not any funny looking areas still trying to spin up in there. And to me, this just looks like a heck of a windstorm, if you ask me. All those greens, very, very bright colors and stuff like that. So that is indicative of some very, very gusty winds. New severe thunderstorm warning in effect. You just saw that pop up at the bottom of your screen. That is going to go, let's get the list of counties here. Again, folks, I'm sorry, my computer is way over here. I can't really move it closer to me. Crockett, Dyer, Haywood, Lauderdale, and Pemiscot counties, severe thunderstorm warning until 10:15. That's that box you see right there. The orange boxes are severe thunderstorm warnings. That one little red box is a tornado warning that's just getting ready to expire within the next couple of minutes. What we'll do here, we'll poke around the winds just a little bit, and I'll give you an idea of what the winds are like in the storm. 47 miles an hour there in Mississippi County. So again, even if that's not a tornado, that's 50-mile-an-hour winds. We're talking power lines, trees, things like that. All could be on the way down as this storm comes through. I will say it's promising that they've put out a severe thunderstorm warning and not a tornado warning. I think we can deal with the wind and the rain. Nobody wants to deal with a tornado tonight, so that is some fantastic news for sure. But guys, again, this tornado warning is set to expire at 9:30 on the dot, and as soon as it leaves my radar, I'm going to send things back to regular programming. So if you're on ABC, we'll go back to whatever was on. If you're on CW30, the news will start right when I end. And if you guys want to take a break or whatever, just let me know whatever you want to do. But regardless, we'll have updates through the night on CW30 and on Local 24. Again, just a couple of minutes away from this tornado warning expiring. We had that tornado warning for the northern portion of Mississippi County. And an interesting note from the National Weather Service, it looks like there's not any wind report coming in from Blytheville. You know, who knows if the sensor might have been knocked down or what, but you know, a quick wind gust, it's just a little plastic sensor. Those things can knock over pretty quickly. So no wind report out of Blytheville right now, so we don't really have a great idea of the wind speed there. But promising signs here. I'm not seeing anything that is, you know, incredibly alarming to me, telling me there's a tornado for sure. I don't think there's a tornado with this right now, and I think that tornado warning is going to be allowed to expire as scheduled at 9:30, and then we can get back to regular programming. And again, we'll have an update on the weather at 9:30 on CW30 if you want to flip over there. Let me do kind of a broad view. We'll zoom all the way out since we're not really concerned about this tornado warning anymore. It's still in effect for about 60 more seconds, but it's just not showing anything crazy. And again, there's really nothing going on. North Mississippi's dry, Memphis is dry, Eastern Arkansas dry. If you know somebody downtown, they've got about 2 hours before any rain would even get here, so they're good. Keep going on downtown. And again, like I said, this line of storms up here is really going to continue to weaken. We've got storms through the northern portion of Arkansas and the northern portion of Tennessee and the Missouri Boot Heel. So this whole line of storms is going to continue to move down to the south and could produce still gusty winds, heavy rain, and lightning for the next several hours, especially areas north of Memphis. I don't think this line's going to make it into Mississippi or into places like Phillips and Lee County and Arkansas. And I don't think we're going to have to deal with another tornado warning tonight. That's some good news. It looks like this storm did not produce a tornado, so that's great. But we're going to keep an eye on things, and again, as long as this thing pops off my radar at 9:30, we'll let you go back to regular programming, and we'll start up the news, and of course, I'll have an update. Again, CW30 flip over. We're starting the news here in just a few seconds. I'll have another weather update starting right off the top. But again, that tornado warning from Mississippi County and Arkansas should just be just a second or two away from expiring. And again, no confirmed reports of a tornado. If you have any damage, if you see anything happening, let us know. You can download the free Local 24 News app. If you can do so safely, send us photos. But as of right now, that tornado warning is expired, so we are going to go ahead and send things back to regular programming.